Hi, I'm here with Natalie Kent, and we're really excited. Natalie and I have been friends for about 3 years, I think, and we met we did an interview about money, I think it was, wasn't it, Natalie?
hmm
And um, I do human design work. My name's Karen McMullen, and I wanted to do this interview with Natalie because Natalie has been channeling some incredibly powerful and helpful information that I myself and a group of people in a network called the True Ecosystem have been benefiting from. And meanwhile, the rest of the world has not been benefiting from this. And we thought that it was about time that we started to share this. And so I'm going to today be interviewing Natalie to find out more about what she's been channeling. And that's it. So Natalie, it's great that you're here. And Natalie is the founder of True Ecosystem. How would you describe True Ecosystem, Natalie?
Woo! Well, True Ecosystem is what I call I'm going to use loose terms here, the global army of golden warriors who are really here to stand in the golden frequency of the new age. In very watered down terms, that means that we have an online platform. It's private, it's by invitation only. And it's very much like Facebook, where we can interact and not be bothered by ads and marketing and all of the noise out there that you usually find in social media. So we have an online network, as well as we have local events around the world, and we're expanding person by person with people who are feeling the call to step up and stand up and be a custodian, an active custodian of this planet. So yeah, I'm very honored to be standing with and working with lots of movers and shakers like you, Karen, from everywhere, from all over the globe. So it's very early days. We're a very small group at the moment, but very passionate about the changes that are happening on Earth. So that's what we're going to delve into today, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then also Natalie is a founder of the Creator Types and Sacred Business. So give us a little bit about what those are, please.
Well, I've been running my own business called Sacred Business for about 6 years now, and it's all about teaching business by nature, by natural cycles, natural rhythms, the laws of nature, essentially, so that we don't deviate off the path of becoming overly commercial and removed from what creation is really about. So from Sacred Business was born the Creator Types. And the Creator Types are really about looking at human bodies and different types of bodies and profiling their energy patterns, their bone structures, and seeing what that actually means about how that person is designed to create in the world. So if you imagine the body as a vehicle for the soul and the soul's purpose or gifts or mission, whatever, it's how the soul is expressed here in the physical. So when we understand that and the vehicle we're in, we have the owner's manual, so to speak. We actually know how to be more efficient and effective with how we create. So whether it's a business or project or anything you want to create in your life.
And can you give us an example of, for example, what your creator type is?
Well, everyone has two primary creator types, and mine are lava and tree. So lava is the revolutionary, the one who likes to unearth what is old and needs to be completely restructured and provides a new landscape for people to walk on. And the tree is the provider. So the tree looks after everyone. The tree is a humanist. They are very concerned with how are you going? Do we have the framework so we can all thrive? Because the tree is the one that looks after everyone. So, and so many beings thrive because trees exist. So you put the two together and you get a balance of those two energies, the catalyst and the humanist wanting to look after people. So that's me. And all of the creator types are based on nature states. So we have river, soil, mountain, sun, lake. There's plenty of nature states that actually reflect in the body. So we're looking at how those patterns in nature move, how the energy moves in a lake, for example, where it's very centralized and ripples outwards, or an ocean where it's like undulating energy that constantly moves from deep below. You can actually see those patterns show up in the body. So there's 12 different creator types, and yeah, it can be quite illuminating about someone's nature and help us to see how we can work together better as well.
That's awesome. Great description.
Karen's a lightning. So that's why she's like perfectly placed to do this interview today, because lightning likes to strike with their precision and get to the bottom of things and ask very direct questions. So I'm a little bit scared about that, but because I know your questions can be very pointed. But yeah, so there you go. There's a few examples.
That's awesome.
Oh, and I should say the reason
it'll make it interesting though.
Yeah. The reason why the creative types relate to all of this and what we're talking about today is because the creative types help us to be grounded and in our bodies and earthed. So many people who are going through these energetic changes on Earth right now are really quite thrown by them, and one of the big reasons is because they're not grounded enough. They don't have a strong relationship with their body, so they can kind of lift off with the frequencies increasing. So our creator types really help us with that, and they help us to build a sense of tribe with the people around us, so we can work together more effectively and with more equality, because in nature everything is equal. A tree is not better than a flower or the soil or the sun. They all have their place and they all work together. So that's what we're aiming for with moving into this new world.
It makes total sense. Yeah, I love that. So I would love to know, Natalie, can you tell us, before you started channeling, just maybe in the weeks or month before, what was your life like? What was going on in you that led up to when you started channeling?
That question. So I will say that in some ways, I had been channeling. I don't even like the term channeling, because it does imply that something that is not you is coming through you. And how do you verify that source? How do you know what that is? And if it's you, then it's not really channeling. It's actually just that you're communicating with a higher part of yourself. So yeah, I'm just saying that at the start because I think it's a term that is kind of open to interpretation or fraught with danger as well, because I don't feel like channeling is where we're going in the world. I think it's been around a long time, but really now it's about coming into our sovereignty, which is listening to our own guidance. And yes, we exist in multiple dimensions and layers and levels of consciousness all at once, but we don't need to be channeling other beings, which leads me to my next point, which is I had a realization earlier this year. This is before I officially started channeling thousands of words a night, where I realized that I was Arcturian. And Arcturians, for those who don't know, are a starseed race, but basically a benevolent alien race which exists in the energetic realm and around the sixth dimension, and sixth and seventh. And so they have this amazing consciousness that they've cultivated of the love vibration. And it was quite it's really kind of changed my life, because it's added a missing piece that I felt was always there from when I was very young. When I was a very young child, I was quite distraught, sort of in the background in my early years because I felt like I wasn't from here and I couldn't understand this world, and this world sort of traumatized me in a way. And it was hard because my parents didn't know what to do, and there was nothing that they'd done wrong. It was just how I felt, and I felt like I was actually somewhere else whilst trying to be here. And so it was very challenging, but I had no understanding of that, and also no memory of being from another place or where I was from, or nothing, no recollection at all. I just felt like it wasn't here. And I actually used to plead to the moon at night, take me back, like take me home, like I want to go home. But of course that wasn't to be. So I wanted to go home because, yeah, I found the way of life here to be very backwards and very difficult to digest. I was highly sensitive, and just the way humans would live, from anything from how they would throw rubbish in the bin, and I'd go, but where's that going? Like as a young child, I was so concerned. I'd almost have a panic attack when I'd put things in the bin, or my dad would have to cut down trees around the house for storm protection, and like I'd be hysterical because I could feel the tree as my limb being cut off. Like I was that hypersensitive. And so and I also used to question from very young, why does everyone look so miserable here? Like, why do people go to jobs that they don't like and in this rigid structure? And just so many things I found very difficult to digest about being here. And so, my life rolled on, and I tried to be normal as much as I could without really actually succeeding. But I did, on the outside, live a normal life. I went to uni and started a career and all of that. And only this year really did it it actually hit me. Wow, I'm actually Arcturian. And I know people speak about, well, we're all from other places and we all have been all the races. And I agree with that, but there are certain energies that resonate more strongly than others. So I resonate strongly with the Arcturian energy, which is, this amazing love vibration. And it's very, very beautiful. And that's what they're here to teach us and help us with, cultivating in our bodies here on Earth, not as this energetic concept, but actually feeling it and embedding it in our bodies. So particularly in our hearts, how to open the heart. So that's a long preamble to the channeling question, but it's kind of necessary because I didn't get struck or taken over by another energy that wasn't me. This was really me opening up to where I came from, finally, to receive the bounty of wisdom and guidance and love that is there, and to bring that through properly, because it hasn't been time yet. And this is what I'm noticing more and more, is that there are star seeds, or people who've come to this planet from other places to help, and they're waking up now one by one. Some have been awake for years and been traumatized by that, or I've heard horror stories of what's been done to those people, because it's like they've woken up too soon when society wasn't ready, and society has condemned and vilified and tortured them in various ways. So there's definitely something in the timing of now. It's actually safe and okay and time to wake up for these people. And some of you out there might feel this. It's like you've been waiting your whole life to be shown why you're actually here. And so that's certainly something I resonate with. Now is the time. And so that is really the essence of the channelings, the messages I received. So on the 1st of March, I started channeling it was like between 1,000 and 3,000 words a night at 2 a.m. I'd be woken up. And that was every night for about 2 months. So I accumulated a lot of information from the Arcturians about what is going on and what is essentially coming for us as humans, what to expect over the coming years, to put a higher context to what we can only see here. So this is the beauty again of having this information from another realm, is that we have the higher perspective that we can't see. We've got plenty going on here, right? And there's even more, too much to digest of what's going on this plane. But they can give us this higher context that can really help us to see the bigger picture and the longer term view of what's coming. So how did I start channeling? Oh dear. Well, first of all, when I got that first transmission in the middle of the night, I actually woke up with a stitch in my side. Like, who gets a stitch when they're asleep, right? Well, actually in my rib. And I'm going, what's that? Like, and I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't move. And so it actually like made me get up out of bed and go and move around, and then bang, it all started pretty much. I just got my computer out and closed my eyes, because I have done things like this before where I can feel there's information. It's like the air becomes electrified around me and I can bring information through, but I'd never brought like literally hundreds and hundreds of words direct like that before. And that's probably enough to kind of explain how all this started. Sorry for the long answer.
Oh, that's a perfect answer. I think that so many people will resonate a lot with your experience. Anyone else that is a starseed and has had that experience in childhood, I think that's probably really common, and well, not really common, but common enough for some people. So I'm sure that that's going to resonate. And I didn't know that about you, and I don't know, it makes me understand you a little bit more. I'd love to know what that was like for you after that first night, and then maybe that first week when you were receiving these transmissions, what it was like for you personally and emotionally. How did you respond to this?
Like a crazy person. So when I got the information, to give you some idea, the information I received was quite shocking in the sense of everything in this world is going to break down and change. And the world is not going to be as you know it. In fact, your life to date is going to seem in coming years like a fantasy, like it never actually happened. And it talked about the money system failing. It talked about, many people leaving the planet. It talked about the essential need to set up food supplies, like independent food supplies. So because food is going to become a major issue. A lot of the stuff that's been channeled by other people, so it wasn't really surprising in that sense, but when it comes through you directly, word for word, it feels very real, but also like a clash, like a direct clash with your reality now. And that's how it was in my body. My body would go, oh my God, how do I assimilate this information? So when I was channeling, so I'd channel in the middle of the night and I would sort of be aware of what the information was. So I'd channel and then I'd close for an hour or whatever, close my computer and then go back to sleep for a couple of hours. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I had the information synced to my phone. So I'd go for a walk and I would read whilst I was out in nature, read what came through. And yeah, there were some times when I would just, it really fried my system. So it gave me a lot of anxiety, I think. And because I couldn't fully assimilate it, even though on some level it felt true, like it's like I just knew it was it felt like truth, because it was me. It's like where I've come from. That's what essentially what I was briefed with before I came here. And they're saying, hey, Nat, it's time to get to work. This is why I came here. It's 2019. This is the plan. You have these people in your life that also know the plan. It's time to wake them up. Let's get the army of golden warriors going, you know. So that was exciting. There was a lot that was exciting in it and a lot that was shocking in it. But it was more that it was just felt so supernatural compared to the life I was living only 6 months ago. And the reality that we know, I should say, it just felt so in contrast to that. And like, is this really going to happen? Because they speak about, you know, alien races coming here, and not all of them are benevolent. You know, some of them are here to derail things and screw things up, and take from us, and some here to take the planet. They actually want human soul, like they want human bodies, and they want our planet. And that's all fine in the divine order of things, because if we allow them to do that, that's free will, right? And that's what's been happening, is we have not been dedicated custodians of this planet. We have not looked after her. That's the bottom line. So of course it's up for grabs. So that's what this whole they spoke about the golden frequency, and how the golden frequency is what the high dimensions are about, because they've transcended the duality of light and dark. They've actually integrated the two. And the only way to do that is to not be afraid of the dark and not be afraid of the light, but actually come into harmony with them, integrate, just stand in between. And so that's where we're going. So yeah, how did I take it all? I definitely mobilized some people at the time who were in my life and are in my life now, who are part of the true ecosystem, some amazing people who also have felt the call. Some of them knew this was coming and some didn't, and were equally, you know, on this trajectory of, oh my God, where are we going? But yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I wouldn't change it for anything, but it's not for the faint-hearted to be privy to that information firsthand. I had to really ground myself a lot in that time to stay sane, because it was integrating two realities. But here I am. So who knows what's next? Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing. And you and I hadn't connected for quite a while, and we connected, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I had also channeled at the same time, in the same time period that you were channeling. I was also channeling, which was new for me as well. And it was such a confirmation, because one of I actually channeled a book, and one of the chapters in the book is about the grand reorganization and the collapse of all of the current global systems. And the rest of the book is pretty lovely. You know, it's a spiritual book.
Yep.
About working with consciousness and, you know, topics that I was already interested in. But this one chapter was shocking. And like you said, when you receive the information firsthand, I think most people look around at the world right now and they're not in denial that things aren't sustainable the way they are, and that climate change is happening and that things are going down. But when you actually receive the images of what is to come, and the sense of urgency and imminence that it's happening now, it's a really powerful mobilizer, like you said.
Oh yeah.
So,
and
I
really want to speak to that sense of urgency, because that's what came through in the channelings really strongly, was you must wake up. Like, humanity must wake up. You've become so complacent. This is what is actually happening on your planet now that you're not looking at. Like, there are alien races who are interested in coming here to take over because you're just asleep. Humanity is asleep. And so, yeah, this sense of urgency, which I felt, so that's what like jolted my system. But then also being aware of, okay, so how do I ground this information so it can unfold in 3D time? And yeah, because this is what I've learned about the channelings, is it's that high frequency energy that it's way ahead of where we are in the 3D, in the physical here and now. So it is very futuristic. So they can say something is happening now because for them in that high frequency it is, but down here we slow it right down. Yeah, so it's integrating not just the information, the reality of what's happening, but the urgency, and then also 3D timing. That's the challenge, and that's ongoing. It's really, it's a fine line of, I feel like it's a fine line of sanity and insanity sometimes, living on that edge of reality and the future.
So what were some of the next steps that you were shown that you needed to take in order to start bringing these, you know, this information into real life? What were some of the practical things that you started to do in order to take action?
First of all, they told me very early on that I needed to start doing videos and sharing this information, and like literally talking to like media influencers and getting the message out there. And of course I freaked out going, well, I've just received this information myself. You know, I need to just assimilate all of this. And it's taken me months and months to do that, which is why we're only doing this now. So that was a big one, was to let the masses know to be prepared and what change is coming, and to wake up. And what does wake up actually mean is a good question. Waking up means living closer to nature. That's number one thing that waking up means. It means looking at how removed we've become, not just from nature, but from one another. We've used money as a means to circumvent our dependency on one another as human beings. So I can just pay for that, so I don't need to build a relationship with anyone to, you know, buy a chicken or to have my website done. I just pay for it. And so money has become this buffer and a barrier in some cases from between humans. And that's what's going to break down, because it's just not compatible with the fifth dimensional energy and this unity consciousness that we're moving into. It's like we have to come together as equals. And money has created separation on this planet. It's not condemning money. It's looking at how we've used it and where it's come from, the consciousness it came from. And as I mentioned before, living close to nature and food, like growing our own food. And how are we going to have access to food if, you know, transport breaks down and farmers cannot produce food en masse anymore because there's no water? Like all of this kind of stuff, it's like you guys need to get mobilized and aware and actually physically, practically set up to be more self-sufficient and being able to live off the land. They also talk about buying land so that we, you know, can grow orchards, and, you know, which take years to grow. Like this is a reality that we're in. It's just like, this is not snap your fingers, problem solved. This is years and years and years coming of breaking down the system, breaking down all these illusions of what it means to live well on this planet. So that's really the essence of the message of waking up, is get back to nature and find your tribe. And I've been banging on about this for a long time, even before the channelings, because the creator types have shown me how necessary it is for us to actually remember the skills of co-creation. We've actually forgotten because we've created hierarchies. that take care of that. You know, you have this role and I have this role, and there's all segregation around who does what, and it doesn't matter who the person is, it's about the job title. And that's how we've created. And so, and of course money's been all part of that. So the creator types level the playing field and allow us to go, oh, okay, so how does a mountain help a tree, and how does a tree help a mountain, and how do they work together? And so it's as simple as that. It's like we've got to come back to the simplicity of how nature works, the laws of nature, and we can't go wrong.
And then to me also part of waking up is coming into that, like you said, the golden consciousness. So could you speak about that part? Or the 5D, you talk about 3D and 5D.
Yeah. So it's a big one because, and this is what a lot of people are waking up to now on Earth, where we've basically had this split, and religion has been a part of this, but it's not the only thing. The New Age spirituality movement is part of this as well as just, you know, just every facet of life that you look at. We've suppressed the shadow and we've exalted the light in some form or another. The glorification of war heroes, to the elevation of spiritual gurus, to politicians, to, you know, putting all of these people, oh, they're going to solve our problems, or wow, how amazing. But underneath is this black sludge of the actual reality of putting these, you know, of exalting the light and suppressing the ugly truth. You know, now we're looking at things like the child sex trade and satanic rituals and all, you know, all sorts of things that are occurring on Earth and have been occurring for a long time, but no one's wanted to look. And there's been so much secrecy. And it's like, I'm going to hide my shadow side and show everyone my light side. And even the media is a huge part of this. You know, movies show us this. It's like, no one wants to own their shadow, really, and like really own it and go and look at some of this stuff and see it for what it is, that it's a manifestation of that duality consciousness of separation. It's what we've done in every aspect of life. And so I come across a lot of people, and myself included, I haven't wanted to look at the ugly truth of my nature. I realized that I had suppressed so much, and looking at the ugly truth of what has actually been done to this planet, that we've all been a part of it. We've all actually created this horrible state of reality where, you know, we're lucky to have marine life at all in the coming years, and the Amazon's on fire, and like it's just, there's no trees left. Australia has one of the highest deforestation rates in the world, you know, but who even knows that? Like these kinds of things that have been hidden from us, but at the same time we've created through driving a car on the road. In fact, as a child, I used to think as a 10-year-old going, how am I going to get around when I'm an adult? Because I can't drive a car, because that actually damages the environment. So I'm going to have to walk everywhere. Like that was my quandary as a freaking 10-year-old, just going, why are they doing that? Freaking hell. Like, what is it in people that is just so numb to this stuff? But of course, I became one of them, because I was like, I don't know how else to get ahead in this world. And if I am going to make a difference, I kind of have to be a part of it too. And, you know, maybe that's not the only way I could have chosen, but it's what I chose. But there was a lot of suppressed trauma in that. So that's what I mean by the suppression. We are all suppressing our dark side, because that's trauma based darkness from having to live against our own human nature. And so this separation that's occurred in us has kept us stuck in 3D consciousness and fighting and wars and you versus me mentality. It's what governs our economy, our political systems, the way we've treated nature, the way we've treated each other. And so moving to 5D consciousness is about bringing the light and dark together, not judging either or, not making light better, not trying to just show our shiny side, but actually standing in the center and owning both. And to do that, we cannot avoid looking at the dark of our own nature and what's happening out there, and that we've all been a part of it. And so many people, you know, many activists who have good intentions think that, you know, that they're also in denial of the fact that they created this and that they're still creating it because they're fighting. But when you own your shadow, you can stand in the center and you don't have to fight, but you are a warrior of sorts, a peaceful warrior, but you are standing for something and you become immovable in that sense. You say, no, I will not let this happen to the planet any longer. I will not justify my behavior that is destructive to her or to others and me any longer. But this is a process. It's going to take years and years. So when the light and dark comes together, that's alchemy. That's gold. That's why we call it the golden frequency. That was a long answer to get to that. Yep.
So such a good answer. So much power in what you're saying, and I just feel so moved. I think this is your lava coming out, and your tree, because I can feel the fire and the revolutionary unearthing coming up, and then also the caring, you know, how much you care.
Yeah, it's a fine balance sometimes. Sometimes the lava wins.
Well, it probably needs to win right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, totally. Yeah. We all need some more lava, because that's what waking up is. It's actually firing up and owning our fire and realizing that we have been asleep and we've basically washed out our own fire in our bodies so that we can cope with what's happening here. So we can numb out. And that's why the planet herself is heating up right now. It's like, you fire up here or you die. You'll be shaken off. You won't be part of this new world. So we all have a choice to get with the program and fire up and make change here, or we leave. And we don't get a choice about who leaves. We only get a choice about ourselves and what we choose to do. And if we're going to fire up, and firing up means disrupting your life in many cases, depending on how asleep you've been and how
almost everyone, almost all cases. Yeah, because the everyday, I mean, all of the ways that our current world is set up in contradiction to how we need to be living. So unless you're already living off the grid and you're already growing all your own food and you're already connecting with I am consciousness every day, then you have some work to do.
Yeah, totally. And you know, the magic of fire is it burns away the debris, what's no longer relevant. So as we heat up, as the earth heats up, and a lot of people are feeling this now, like they're feeling changes to their bodies, they're feeling, what am I going to do with this extra energy? They might be feeling, you know, having other symptoms like headaches or detoxing their bodies because they're firing up, and fire burns away virus and the dark energy that's come into the planet that we've created because of we don't want to look at it, so it grows and gets bigger like a tumor. It's like a virus. So to burn away the dark and to illuminate that shadow, we need fire. And fire is what people are afraid of, because it means we're powerful. We become more powerful the more we fire up. The more we feel fire in our bodies, the more we have to do and be in the world. We have to rise. And people don't want to do that. They want it to be easy and harmonious, but actually underneath they are raging. So many of the people who seem okay right now in the world, in their lives, in their jobs, in their homes, are actually fuming deeper in their bodies beneath the surface. So the more complacency, the more rage is trapped in the body, and that creates all sorts of health issues as well. It's only a matter of time that happens. So this is a huge topic as well, is how do we fire up, and what's the importance of this, and what does it look like? And yeah, I'm very passionate about it. As you can tell, because I have a lot of fire in my body right now, because now that I've integrated a lot of this information, and these channelings that came through, you know, there's always been a part of me that didn't believe that, like like maybe 20% of me or whatever, that went, oh, it's not real, or it can't be happening, or just dismissed it. But now, 6 months later, I've actually seen enough. I've seen things happening that have been true to what they said, what was said in those that information. So yeah, now I'm prepared to really stand by it and stand in it and take action in a much bigger way. So that's what we're doing with the True Ecosystem. When you asked before about what are some of the actions, is we must create tribe. And this is, you know, we don't need to go back and live in native tribes like in the past. This isn't about going to the past. It's about creating a new version of tribe, using some of those principles and what we have available to us now, because we have amazing technologies available to us if we are consciously using them, not robotically using them. What does tribe look like in the new world? Well, for a start, they've talked about creating this global network of golden warriors, people who are willing to and wanting to stand in the golden frequency, to be custodians of this planet, to join forces around the world. So they've shown me like this netting around the planet with certain anchor points in different places. And so this global network of people that's coming together, and these are all people who were sent here anyway to be part of this mission. So they're all waking up and slowly coming into contact with one another. That's what's going to make us strong. It's not enough now to have tribe or community in one location. We must be connected around the globe to be strong enough to rise in what's to come. And what is to come is going to require a lot of fortitude, and it's going to galvanize certain people, and it's going to terrify others. So we want to be prepared, and we want to be standing together. We really want to be holding hands and have relationships in place with people who get it, people who are in this frequency, walking the same path, wanting to make change. No, people who are not, that's totally fine. It's their own journey, and we cannot drag them along if they're not willing, but to just love them anyway and focus on what we were doing and focus on who is on this path, who's part of this, who's saying yes right now. We go with them.
Yeah, I love that, because it's so important that we are moving into being creative in the face of changes and in the face of scary changes, things that could just put us in a state of immobilized overwhelm and fear. But instead, like you said, becoming the warrior and then focus on creating. And that's why I think the creator types come in beautifully, because what we really need right now is to create a new reality, a new set of structures that are in alignment with this new consciousness, and we have to do it together. So it's not something we can do just in our individualistic way that we've created in the past.
Yeah, and I will touch on this for people who are in business. It's no longer, it's a dead end to run a business the way that that has been the case for decades now where, you know, it's just about your bottom line and how you're running your business, and having this kind of tunnel vision about that. Well, I'm going to do this with my marketing, and this is my strategy, and I'm going to sell this many widgets and blah, blah, blah. That's going nowhere. So if you feel like you're not invested in that anymore, or it doesn't feel right, then listen to that. It is a dead end, because that mindset will not survive in the new consciousness. And instead, we must be looking at, what am I doing in the context of others? Who are my people? Who's my tribe? You know, like you said, Karen, you know, you're channeling a book. You've created a book from your channelings. I'm doing the same. We're going, oh, these two dovetail together. And just looking around us going, how does my work and what I'm creating in the world complement others, and vice versa? And how can we do this together rather than me just focusing on what I'm doing? So that's like the greatest advice I can give people in business at the moment, because I'm seeing it all the time, as people are getting stuck in the old way because they don't know what the new way is. So come into tribe, find your people. And if True Ecosystem speaks to you, then, you know, contact Karen or me about that. But just find your people. Don't be a solo operator anymore. Don't be a lone wolf. You'll be left behind. We don't need to do that anymore.
So I feel like we can wrap up. So I'd love to know, for someone that's watching this that resonates and feels like what you're saying is true and feels fired up, what I'm finding is that a lot of the people that I'm telling about, you know, my message from my book about the urgency of making changes, a lot of people resonate, but they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so they don't do anything. And so what would be a way for someone, I mean, first of all, I think subscribe to this channel, because our plan is to do more interviews like this, and also for Natalie to start just sharing more of the information that she's channeling, which is a lot. I mean, there's a lot for her to share. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Yes. So subscribe so that you can hear more, and Natalie might even be doing some YouTube lives, which would be fun. Mm-hmm. So other than that, what are some other things people could do to get going and to just get started?
Number one, find your tribe. Just find them, you know, and they may not be your friends, or people that you already know. It might be a new group of people, but go with who you resonate with, who get some of this stuff, who's talking about the same things. And you'll notice when you're having conversations with people, so these people who are in this frequency, something is created from that when you have a conversation with them. When you're talking with someone who isn't, nothing really generates from it. It's like, hey, how you going? Catch up on this and that. But then it's like, that's it. Nothing, there's no third consciousness that comes from it. So that's really what you're looking for when I say tribe. It's like those people. And look at how you can spend more time with them, and how you can bring groups together in that frequency. That's like the number one thing. And then the second thing is definitely look at how you can use the resources, whether it's money or other assets that you have now, and convert them into assets that will be useful in the future. So, for example, thinking about if food is not available at the shops to buy anymore, where am I going to get it from? So using some of your money to invest in orchards, or you might want to buy land, or you might want to pool your money, which is what I'm looking at doing, pooling my superannuation with other people to purchase land that, you know, can support farming. So there's lots of different ways that we can look at converting our resources now into what's going to be valuable in the future. So there's certain things that we just don't need and are not going to be valuable in where we're going. So just being really mindful of what you have now, and are you converting it? to what will be valuable in the future.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
You want to
you.
say a wrap up?
Thank you for your lightning questions, Karen. And I look forward to doing this again, see what else we can unearth.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
And bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.